Michigan State University College Assistance Migrant Program Scholars Initiative is an educational program that offers individuals with migrant or seasonal farm work backgrounds a unique opportunity to begin an undergraduate program at MSU. This program offers the best conditions in order to help students. Funded by the U.S. Department of Education, Michigan State University's College Assistance Migrant Program was initiated in 2000 and is a unique program designed to service incoming migrant and seasonal farm worker students at Michigan State University. The Residential Camp Scholars Initiative was established to identify, recruit, admit, and enroll migrant and seasonal farm worker students and provide them academic, social, and financial support to enable them to complete their first year of college.
How CAMP got started, it was really at that time I was working for Dr. Lee June, Vice President Lee June, that he was very supportive of us really going down this venture. And the reality is that no one knew very much about migrants. I'm a former migrant and seasonal farm worker, migrant worker. My family came to Michigan as a farm worker. So to me, that was the ultimate, is to really assist this community, because I knew personally how difficult how difficult it was. But it was very difficult from the standpoint that really no one really knew, who it was that we were talking about. And now people do, we're just saying, wow, this is amazing. But it took some time. There was an educational process, Initially people just said, they thought that this was a Latino program, and they really didn't understand migrants. Migrants that we service are not necessarily Latinos. They're folks involved in that particular agricultural arena. The other perspective that we have of our program, it's a program of no excuses, okay? We try to embed that in our students. Coming from a migrant and seasonal background, there's many students that challenge with housing issues. Sometimes some of them will even tell you that the water had been cut off or electricity had been cut off because of the financial difficulties that they have at home, or that there's not that much food at home. Going back to migrant students, if they're coming from out of state, and many times the seasonal farm workers, the family tends to leave before schools get out in the spring. They come north to work. So that means that the student leaves early and comes to the schools here in Michigan. If they enrolled and they're still in high school, the sequence of what they're studying are not the same. So they're always behind. When school starts in the fall, in the schools in Texas and Florida, many of the families are still working. Our students, the students that we serve, many times they arrive late to their home school. So again, they're behind. So it becomes understandable why some of the skill levels aren't where they need to be.
I was born in Naples, Florida, but I was raised in Mexico up to when I was 3 years old. And then I was brought back over here due to the famine situation going on in the southern Oaxaca province. I really never had a childhood. I was mainly raised in the tobacco fields. At the age of 3, I was literally forced to go with both of my parents because they couldn't afford to pay someone who could take care of me. And I really didn't start school until I was 8 years old. My parents really never planned on schooling me. They basically had other plans, such as having me work to earn my own living. And having me realize this, it's just a shock.
Hi, my name is Marlene Briones. I was born in Zacatecas, Mexico. I came to the U.S. when I was 2 years old with my parents and my siblings. It was just us. When we came to the U.S., we went to Florida, and in Florida, my parents had found a job with farm labor work, and with that job, it was just seasonal work. So we would go to different states. We would go to North Carolina, just the southern states. We would go and do seasonal work. But whenever we would move, I remember if they had to stay there and they found the stable work, we had to stay there. So I would go to the different elementary schools. I remember going to 3 different elementary schools, maybe 4 or 5 middle schools, and then entering high school, we went back to Florida.
I was born in Madera, California on February 20th, 1994. I lived there 6 years, and after I turned 6, my family, my brother, and my mom, my dad, and my brother, we moved to Michigan. My brother was only a year old, and so we lived in Michigan for 5 years in Shelby. And after 5 years, after finishing the 5th grade, we moved to Florida. I lived there for 2 years, and I came back to Michigan and started 8th grade in Hart, Michigan, and I ended high school there.
Over the years and after much work, we've established relationships with counselors here in Michigan, throughout the state, also in Texas and Florida. They are really pivotal and key to helping us identify the students and really providing the students with the best information possible as they make their decisions in terms of where they will be going to school.
My name is Oralia Gonzalez, and I was a migrant strategist at La Jolla High School. Migrant strategist is it's like a counseling position. It's a facilitator that helps the students. My main goal was to make sure that they graduate and that they go on to college. Well, first was getting the word out. I had to tell the students that this was a great opportunity for them, and then tell them to tell their parents, convince their parents that it was a good opportunity. And so there was a lot of communication, between myself, and I had to also convince the teachers, that this was a good thing. And so at the beginning, it was a lot of groundwork that I had to do. So these students, they decided to go without ever visiting the university. Later on, it became a tradition that the students would travel to go visit the university. But the first 7 that went, they had never seen the university. They were going, without any knowledge of what it was going to be like. Only my word that they were going to have a better future. Blindly, they went, and they did well. They did well, and it just opened up the door. I mean, it was amazing how those kids had brothers or cousins, and the second year, I didn't even have to work as hard. They would come and tell me, I heard that there's this university, that is, really good, and then they help out the migrants a lot, and it just became an awareness. And some of the parents that had kids that were there come and talk to the other parents because they were scared. They were afraid that, the kids were going to go far away, which is not a Hispanic thing to do, a cultural thing. They want their kids to live next door. And they were afraid for them, and I had parents that already had students there come and tell the parents, it's going to be okay. Yes, I miss my kids. With tears in their eyes, they would tell them, I miss my kids, but I'm letting them have a better future.
Parental support or parental dislike, as you may in some situations. And I recall a particular scenario where we had one student who came to orientation, and the father had called up the recruiter and said, no, I want to pick up my daughter, and she's not going to stay there. And so he talked to the father about 2 hours on the phone, and he could not convince her to, let her stay. Then, so the recruiter gave the phone to the associate director, he spoke about an hour to the father. And then finally, he says, look, Luis, I cannot convince the father to let their daughter stay. And so you're going to have to talk to him. I said, okay, I'll talk to him. So I get on the phone with the father, and he says, no, I don't want to let. And I said, well, okay, so what's the bottom? I mean, why don't you want to let your daughter stay? And I said, so let's cut through the chase. What is your concern? He says, if I'll let her stay, because I know education is important, but if you can guarantee me that she won't get pregnant. And I stopped to think a little bit, and I said, okay. I agree with you. Maybe she should go back home, but can you guarantee me she's not going to get pregnant at home? And the phone goes dead. He wasn't talking at all. Finally, he comes on and he says, I understand. She can stay. Now she's one of our full-time employees. And he is the most proudest dad that walked the face of this earth.
Dice, pues no, teníamos miedo de que pues podía agarrar mal pasos, o sea, que como está ahora de hoy en día el mundo, como quien dice, pues hay droga por todas partes, hay que salen embarazadas, toda esa cosa, teníamos miedo de que fuera a pasar con ella, ¿me entiendes?
Que le fuera a pasar algo porque todo el tiempo tratamos de que estaban atenidos a estar con nosotros todo el tiempo.
O que hagan, pues ya ven que pandillas y todas esas cosas. A mí teníamos miedo de eso y no queríamos que se fuera tampoco porque, como digo, no estábamos impuestos. Pero
como éramos bien estrictos con ella y ya de que pues decíamos, ya va a andar sola y ya no tenía quien la mande a que, ¿verdad? Porque todo el tiempo fuimos más estrictos. Tenemos 3, pero con ella era la que más amarrada.
Porque era chiquita.
Sí.
A course titled Preparing for Academic Success and Exploring Careers in Agriculture and Natural Resources was designed for freshman students of migrant farm worker background. It was developed as a collaborative strategy between the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Office of Diversity and Pluralism, and the College Assistance Migrant Program at Michigan State University. The goal was to equip these first-generation college students with the tools necessary to persist and succeed in their journey through higher education. The course curriculum included multiple interactive and hands-on instructional strategies to engage students in course content. As a part of the program for ANR 491, the students were introduced to the 12 academic departments within the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources. The college offers majors in academic departments such as Agriculture, Food and Resource Economics, the Department of Animal Science, the Department of Biosystems and Agricultural Engineering, the Department of Community, Agriculture, Recreation and Resource Studies, the Department of Entomology, the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife, the Department of Forestry, the Department of Food Science and Human Nutrition, the Department of Horticulture, the Department of Packaging, the School of Planning, Design and Construction, and the Department of Plant, Soil and Microbial Sciences.
Lopez, and I went to Michigan State University through the camp program I started in 2000. I grew up in this area. I graduated from Ed Couch-Elsa High School, which is just a few miles north of Westlaco City, and I never my intentions just growing up as a migrant was never going to college, and hearing, thanks to a Spanish teacher who really invested time to teach me and help me graduate and really understand that I had potential, that I had the ability to go to college. I was able to familiarize myself that college even existed and that college could be for me. So I ended up going back to Michigan, working in the fields, not necessarily going to college, but again ended up within the cycle of working the migrant way of life all over again. And that's when I ran into and bumped into the recruitment coordinator at the time for Michigan State, who really talked to me about Michigan State, the opportunity of what the College Assistance Migrant Program, what that had to offer, and that changed my life completely. So now it's always a privilege to be able to come back to the area where I grew up and go into the migrant education programs and be able to tell my story, and at the same time help the students understand that just because they grew up as a migrant and maybe have had challenges in their life, that it's not a reason to not go to college and to get an education.
Mi nombre es Angelina González. Soy una orgullosa mamá de Pedro, Elvia, Rolando, alumnos de Michigan State. La razón que nosotros los enviamos a la universidad es porque queremos un futuro mejor para ellos. No queremos que pasen los apuros o que nosotros pasamos, la vida que nosotros pasamos. Queremos que ellos pasen una vida mejor. Esa es la razón de cuál fue el esfuerzo de mandarlos a la universidad en el año 2004 a Pedro y Elvia, en el año 2008 a Rolando, y próximamente va el más pequeño, que es David, y queremos que sea un bien y un futuro mejor para ellos, no como el de nosotros. Es un orgullo para nosotros de padres, ¿verdad? Que saber de dónde venimos, de gente demasiado humilde, demasiado pobre, con un gran esfuerzo que hizo mi esposo primeramente de traernos para acá, ¿verdad? Y luego de llevarnos hacia el estado de Michigan, de que ellos les gustara tanto el estado, tanto el estado y tanto el esfuerzo que nosotros hicimos, y ellos lo supieron apreciar. Me imagino yo, ¿verdad? Que ellos supieron apreciar el esfuerzo que nosotros hicimos de haberlos llevado y de haber trabajado en la labor, y eso tal vez a lo mejor a ellos más que nada lo que se les grabó es todos los esfuerzos que miraron que nosotros hacíamos, de trabajar en la labor y de levantarme yo a las 4 de la mañana a hacer lonche, y de llevar al niño a la guardería, y de todo eso, ¿verdad? Todo eso ellos, yo creo que más que nada se les grabó, y eso yo creo que es más que nada lo que les dio el empuje a estar donde están ahorita. Es bastante. Para nosotros es mucho orgullo. Pedro y Elvia se graduaron el 2010. Pedro se graduó en verano, Elvia en invierno, en otoño. Es manager en recursos humanos. Ahorita, ¿verdad? Tiene su gran desempeño ahí y está muy contento con su trabajo y nosotros bien orgullosos de él. Elvia está en el centro de distribución de Target también. Ella está muy a gusto con su trabajo y está progresando mucho. A lo que ella me ha platicado, va avanzando mucho y pues gracias a su valor y a su esfuerzo y a su interés y pues con el apoyo de nosotros. Yo les digo día con día, nosotros, de parte de nosotros no hay apoyo monetario tal vez, pero de perdido con mis oraciones, pues yo creo que es bastante.
My name is Alida Martinez. I am from South Texas, and I graduated from Michigan State University. I went to Michigan State University through the camp program, the College Assistance Migrant Program, in 2006, and I've always been a part of camp even after my first year. So they helped me throughout my 4 years with books and things like that. So they're the ones that essentially I want to say I owe my my diploma to, because they helped me out a lot. My degree is Interdisciplinary Studies, Human Resource Management and Society, with, I guess, minor in sociology and a specialization in Chicano Latino studies. I'm currently working at Michigan State University. I work for the camp program. I'm the camp student services coordinator. So I am now helping the students transition from high school to college. And throughout their first year, I focus on all camp students, but mainly the freshmen, helping them transition, helping them develop professionally, academically, socially, just giving them different tips and tricks that I didn't know when I was an undergrad, and giving them the right resources so that they can succeed. I actually knew I wanted to go to college when I was 10 years old because my parents flew up north to Minnesota to work in the fields, and we did sugar beets and pinto bean fields and the potatoes. So we always worked in the fields. I was 11 years old when I started working for I guess a salary of wages, and I always knew that no matter what, that's not something that I wanted to do the rest of my life. And not only that, seeing my grandparents have to go through that, as well as my parents. My great-grandfather actually passed away in the fields. He had a heart attack, and that was, I guess, that everybody would always say, oh, well, that's how we're all going to retire. And I didn't want to see that happen down the line and continue going there. Definitely working in the fields is something that inspired me and motivated me to go to college. And I knew I wanted to go. I didn't know where I wanted to go, I just know that I wanted to go to college. And when the recruiter for MSU came to my high school and to talk about MSU and the opportunities and the study abroad, and I love to explore, and that was my biggest thing that I guess convinced me to go or to choose MSU. And I really wanted to try something different and think outside the box, because I feel like a lot of the people that I knew, my friends that weren't migrants that would go to school here, would essentially not finish college, so they would start a family, and it was known as a tradition, and I didn't want to fall into that cycle. And so I thought the only way that I could get out of that or break the cycle is literally going against the grain and going to Michigan State.
However, your parents are probably very proud of you.
Yeah, now they are. They gave me a tough time getting there, but they're very proud now. They're glad that I went against the grain and was that I disobeyed them by going to Michigan State.
Fue una experiencia muy bonita porque pues estábamos equivocados en estar de esa manera, porque yo me enojé mucho con ella cuando ella se fue. Yo le dije a mi hija, I don't want you to go, o sea, no quiero que te vayas, quiero que te quedes, estudia en otra parte, yo quiero que estudies, pero quiero que estudies en otra parte cerquita de nosotros. Pues no, o sea, como digo, gracias a Dios pues pasó esto y qué bueno que salió todo bien. Eso es lo que me gustó de
y
eso.
otro tiempo decía, yo te prometo que yo voy a seguir el colegio, no me voy a casar hasta que me acabe.
Me salió.